Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. This bulletin is coming to you live from the Joy 99.7 FM studios, Kokomlemle in Accra, at digital address GA0993341. Also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country, including Part FM in Damongo, Jubilee FM in Keta, Sunshine FM in Boku, on ABN Radio in London, and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by Telesol 4G, Just a Touch, UMB Bank, UMB Speed Up, Digibank, Let's Go. And coming up, 4 DCEs in critical condition at the Tamale Teaching Hospital after an urban bus rammed into their vehicle conveying regional government officials traveling to Wa.
A vehicle from Accra, a Benz bus, all of a sudden veered into the vehicle of the Zabzugu DC's vehicle, and they got crashed. The vehicle somersaulted. That led to the accident. A vehicle from Accra.
We'll get details live from our correspondent on the ground. Water tariffs go up by 8% from next month. We'll hear from the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission as it explains the increase was influenced by depreciation of the cedi and inflation rate.
So for the two main, if you look at these two, that alone is enough. If nothing else happens, those alone, in fact, will be enough to justify those increase that has just been announced.
And in our latest upcoming documentary, Premix Cartels, will tell you the plight of the 2015 National Best Fisherman who has grounded several of his boats because he's unable to afford the high cost of premix fuel from hoarders.
A month, I said petrol asanaba. Nesemine petrol, Piamo Guam over 500. In Kakamarka over 500. Basa, oil.
And in sports,
the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations enters day 4 today. As we look ahead to that tantalizing fixture in Group D, Ivory Coast will play against South Africa. There's also Tunisia and Angola to come, and then Mali will play against Mauritania. The details coming up later.
And Pope Jones.
Given that f of x equals 5 minus 2x.
And Pope Jones Senior High School takes early lead or wins the first competition in the 1/8 stage of this year's National Science and Maths Quiz ahead of arch rivals Koforidua Secondary Technical. But who were those behind these tough questions?
Given that f of x equals 5 minus 2x and g of x equals x plus 3. Find g of f of x.
8 minus 2.
We get up close with one of the consultants of the National Science and Maths Quiz. All that and more here on the Midday News with me, Emefa Apo. And we settle for the details now. 4 district chief executives are in critical condition at the Tamale Teaching Hospital after an urban bus rammed into a vehicle conveying regional government officials traveling to the Upper West regional capital. The officials were traveling to Wa, where President Akufo-Addo is expected to launch government's flagship rural agricultural intervention. That is the Rearing for Food and Jobs. Shortly, we'll get on the line and speak to our correspondents. But Northern Regional Minister Salifu Said confirmed the incident to Joy News.
The news is not good. It's unfortunate that the accident happened, but we don't have to leave everything to God. Like you questioned, I was myself and my deputy, including the Savannah deputy regional minister. We were going to send His Excellency the President in Upper West, where he's launching a new flagship policy of the government, caption Rearing for Food and Jobs. So we decided that we were going with the regional ministers in the 5 regions and our deputies, our MMTCs. We are going to support the president to do the launch. So Northern region, we decided that let's sleep and leave this storm. And they decided that instead of each one of the TCs using their vehicles, they should pack their vehicles and sit 444 in each vehicle so that we move.
Let's cross over now to our correspondent Hashmin Mohammed, who's been monitoring that event and joins us on the line. So we've seen pictures of the mangled car suggesting this was a very serious accident. Tell us how it happened.
Well, according to the regional minister, the incident happened some distance away from the Toyil police barrier. The driver of the vehicle, we are told, veered off and collided in a convoy of the DCE, that the DCEs who were traveling to the Upper West East region for the program. But we do understand that doctors have been able to stabilize the conditions of the DCEs, but 3 of them, their situation still remains very, very critical, and they require a comprehensive health assessment, and plans are underway to airlift them to Accra for further medical attention.
So have they since been airlifted since we've been told that they need that attention?
Come again, Elisa.
I'm asking you if they've been airlifted to Accra.
No, that has not happened. They are making that arrangement. I want to believe, anyway, we are told that in less than an hour, that arrangement will be done and they will be airlifted.
But how about the occupants of the airvan vehicle? What has happened to them as well?
I do understand it was only the driver who was using the vehicle, and he has also suffered serious injuries to his legs, and he has also been transferred to the Tamale Teaching Hospital for treatment.
So you know about how many persons were involved in this particular accident?
In all, we understand on the side of the district chief executive, there were 4, and 3 are in critical condition.
Well, that's our Northern Regional Correspondent Hashmin Mohammed. And when we get the very latest, we'll go back there for more. That's a rather sad situation. But effective July 1, consumers will be paying 8.01% more for water. The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, which announced this earlier today, explains the decision for the hike was influenced by depreciation of the cedi and inflation rate. Last week, the Commission announced an 11.17% increase in electricity tariffs, which was met with opposition from consumers and some NDC MPs. Chairman of PURC Technical Committee Ishmael Ejekumhene justified the increases.
When we're determining the 2018 tariff, the exchange rate that was used at the time was 4.43 Ghana cedis to the US dollars. In this tariff review, the average tariff exchange rate that we use is 5.05, and you know that this is the kind of exchange rate we have on the market. We also the inflation rate. You see, the rate of inflation has gone up. The price build up for electricity tariff. You have the forex component. You have the cedi component. For the forex, you need to adjust when the exchange rate is low. Otherwise, there will be under recovery. The same for the inflation. So for the 2 main, if you look at these 2, that alone is enough. If nothing else happens, those alone, in fact, will be enough to justify this increase that has just been announced. We simply couldn't have kept the tariffs where they are. In 3 months now, we need to look at the numbers again. If for any reason the parameters used in this tariff determination has changed, we will need to consider whether the change is significant or not. If it's not significant, we will just say that tariff stays the same. But as we sit here, you and I cannot predict what is going to happen within the next 3 months. So let's stay at where we are now. But yes, the automatic adjustment formula is still around. It hasn't been scrapped. And in 3 months' time, we will take a look at it.
Chairman of the PRC Technical Committee, Ishmael Ejekumhene, my colleague Joseph Akable, was at that program where the announcement was made and joins us with more. Now, Joseph, quickly before we get into it, remind us how much the water company had requested from the PRC.
And so the power players, Gridco, for instance, had asked for about 95% increase in electricity tariffs. The argument had been that will ensure their survival. But the response coming from the PRC is to the effect that a number of factors influence electricity. So the first being the electricity supply plans for 2019 to 2020. Also the generation mix of 23% hydro and 77% thermal. There is also the Ghana cedi US dollar exchange rate of 5.05 cedis to a dollar. They explained that at the time when the reduction was announced last year, the cedi to the dollar was less than 5 cedis, but it's now beyond 5 cedis. So that should make people aware that indeed some changes need to take place. They're also projecting inflation to be around 8%, as well as projecting fuel prices to also go up and expect increase in electricity demand. So those are some of the factors that account for the electricity. The bit about water too, we are told that electricity cost is also influenced it, and cost of chemicals as well as the Ghana cedi US dollar exchange rate. The further question I asked was about how these power providers and these players in the various chains will be able to survive. And he says in the history of the PRC and its tariff fixing, the sector players have always made high demands, but the PRC, in its opinion, has come to the conclusion that these tariffs are realistic enough for both consumers and for the power players to be able to survive.
Now, on the electricity tariffs, we know there have been suggestions the Commission separates the rates industry and consumers pay rather than the blanket tariff that was announced. How has the Commission been responding to this?
Well, they say that this calculation that they've put out is what they have arrived at after broad stakeholder consultation with all those who matter in this particular engagement. They make the point that this has been done in such a manner that consumers are not overburdened, but they are still able to ensure that they provide accurately to meet the needs of the power players. And they make the point that for those who consume a higher load, they've announced a policy change on the maximum demand. And so that is for the industries. So that is the kind of support they are having for them. So that instead of using the maximum demand charge, they've rather scrap it entirely, and they believe that this will lead to some reduction for them. So that will be a relief that will address the concern that is coming in, that industry should be separated from residential use in terms of a blanket increase.
Joseph Vakabletha, let's stay a while longer on the phone line because we have been joined on the phone by the Communications Director for the water company, Stanley Mate, for some reaction to this. Now, Mr. Mate, we're grateful for your time here on the Midday News. Given your requests, are you satisfied with the 8.01% you've been given?
Yeah, thank you very much. I don't think we are satisfied with the 8.01% because we had requested for a higher percentage. But the information has just come in this morning, so management is going to meet and then we'll see what to do. But in the interim, electricity have been given 11% rise, and we have been given 8%. Now, 44% of our expenditure is on electricity. So you can imagine the impact on the Ghana Water Company Limited, just with this one alone. So it's a situation where will make it a bit difficult for us. And you also know that we've had some reduction not long ago, and it's affected our revenue seriously. And then this one also comes in shortly after. So we may have to sit and then we'll strategize as to how we can go about it. But they are regulators, so if that is how they think that things should be, that's okay. We may just have to work hard to make sure that we sustain water production within the country, as we've always done.
But is this a figure? Is this a figure that you can work with? Because you've just talked about the impact of the rise in electricity tariff. Is this a figure? Is it a figure that you can really work with?
Yeah, we are forced to work with it because even when we had a reduction, we were at the point where we're facing a lot of crisis and also reduction. We've managed to survive. But then the thing is, for how long are we going to survive? Or for how long are we going to kill ourselves to enable us to survive? Because we are working extremely hard to make sure that the system, we keep the system running through all day long. And we keep getting tariffs that are not too helpful to the management of the organization. So it becomes a bit of a challenge. So
if you had your way, should there be more?
Yeah, it should have been more.
Okay.
We'll be engaging the PLC to see how best and how best they can help us survive, or how we can sail through this.
We're indeed grateful for your time. We're out of time. That's the Communications Director for the Ghana Water Company, Stanley Mate. And whilst the two elephants grappling out, the grass continues to suffer. That's the consumer. You're still listening to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. Now, he supervises... Of course, he supervises over 500 boats, but he has grounded dozens of them because he's unable to afford the high cost of premixed fuel from hoarding syndicates. That's the plight of the 215 national best fisherman, Ebenezer Affle. This was reviewed during Joy News' investigations, which uncovered massive hoarding of premixed fuel by well-connected cartels at the country's London beaches in the western and central regions, despite government's intervention to clamp down the practice. Here are highlights of our latest Hotline documentary, Premixed Cartels by Kweti Nate.
In 2018, 72 million litres of premix was lifted from the Tema Oil refinery to various landing beaches. Yet, hundreds of fishermen sometimes struggle to get the fuel to buy. Although there is constant supply of premix fuel to the many fishing communities, for the ordinary fisherman, getting a gallon of a fuel to buy can be a real struggle. However, for those who have money, it is easy to invest in the purchase of a commodity which has been subsidized by government. These individuals have formed cartels that hoard the product and later sell to fishermen at exorbitant prices. Kobina Alakan is a young fisherman, a Dutch commander.
The connection guys sell 1 drum to us at about 12 million cedis.
1 drum, you can buy 12 million.
I am here in Axim, in the Nzima East district of the Western region. I have come to meet the 2015 National Best Fisherman, Ebenezer Afo, a man who has a lot of issues with the supply of premixed fuel in his district. He gets a call from a hoarder proposing to sell 50 gallons of premix to him.
How much are they willing to sell it to us?
They say 50 gallons will be given to us at 6.5.
50 gallons.
Part of the problem is a weak supervision, Mr. Afo tells me. He has grounded a number of his boats because he doesn't get adequate supply of premix fuel to power the outboard motors.
I'm
appealing to the government to check the loopholes because it has collapsed our business. It takes about a month for me to get petrol to enable me get to sea, and this does not augur well for us.
You heard excerpts of our latest hotline documentary, Premix Cartels, airing tonight on the Joy News channel on Multi TV at 8:30 p.m. You don't want to miss that. Now, the police CID is interrogating founder of Zoe Outreach Embassy Church, Pastor Kelvin Kobri, and his wife. This follows complaints by some church members and others who are accusing him of failing to pay them returns on their investments. Joy News has learned that there are more than 7,000 separate cases filed at the police CID against Pastor Kelvin Kobri. Yesterday, scores of agitating investors massed up at the East Legon branch Sunday morning for the second consecutive Sunday to demand their investments. Yes, what went down?
In their numbers, the investors massed up at the East Legon branch of a Zoe Outreach Church demanding answers from church leaders. It is the second Sunday in this month that they've gathered here.
I'm here for my money. We invested with him through his junior pastors in Takwa, and he's been giving us dates upon days, promises upon promises. As for insults, I don't want to go there. I invested 40,000. As I speak to you, I'm a student and at the same time I work, and I need the money to pay my fees.
Each one of these disappointed investors had a case to make.
I am here to collect my passport and money from the church. The pastor told us they process passports and visas for people to travel to Canada, Italy, etc. So I was taken to a pastor's friend who demanded 5,000 Ghana cedis. So I brought the money, but since then, they haven't been picking my calls.
He gave us check and the check bounced. That is fraud. So we have every right to report a case. So we took the case to court and they gave us a court letter or warrant or whatever it is issued to Kelvin with police officer. We went there. Kevin saw us. He didn't come out and he instructed the security gate man to accept the letter. We've sat down with this man over and over. We're not here just to make noise.
Over 95% of the investors do not even enjoy a single penny from the investment. Promise upon promises. And all these promises that he has been promising, none of them have been fulfilled.
We need our money. That is why we are here.
Some know people that stormed to the church yesterday, but my colleague Matilda Bomaga is at the police CID and joins us on the line for that interrogation of Pastor Kobri and his wife. Now, Matilda, has the police been able to explain why they waited for up to 7,000 cases before taking up the issue?
Emefa, I haven't been able to speak with the police yet because at the moment they are still interrogating the pastor together with his wife. So I'm yet to get some information on that bit. But the information I'm taking is that some of the customers are already here, but due to the huge number that protested yesterday, the police is dealing with them in good basis. So 3 of the representatives are here representing the larger group that are not here at the moment. So at the moment, the police is also taking their statement in addition to what they did yesterday. But as we speak now, Pastor Kobiri, together with his wife, are being interrogated by the police CID MFA.
How long has this interrogation been going on?
For close to 1 hour now. I'm told that he got here somewhere around 11 a.m. and he's still in session. So we are waiting to hear from the police on what exactly has been going on in there, and also speak to some of the customers as well.
We'll definitely wait for that update on that. That's Matilda Bomega reporting from the police CID. I'm also joining the studio by Joy News editor Fred Smith for more on this. Fred, you were at the church yesterday and spoke to some more customers. What have they been telling you?
One of them, there's this woman who is around 45, 50, who says she actually got herself involved in a situation where some pastors at the church had asked her to pay 5,000 cedis and also bring her passport, and that they were going to send her to Canada. You know, the name of the church is Zoe Outreach Embassy, and she bought the story because she had seen embassy there. She thought she could get a visa to travel to Canada. The other person I spoke to is a man whose voice we have. I will play that to you shortly. He was a victim in the DKM issue. He was also a victim in Men's Gold issue. He was also a victim in the Gold Coast securities issue, and is caught up in this as well. We can hear him.
It's investment, and we, the youth, at times we think it's a risk, but yet we need to push forward in life. I wouldn't go and steal. I wouldn't go and rob. So if I have my own money and I'm investing it, I don't see anything wrong with it. Just that our agencies that need to supervise all these things are not really doing their work. Let me put it that way.
So you are part of those who invested in DKM?
I'm telling you, 2015, Men's Gold, and then because in South we have money there. What is happening? What is happening? And the youth are really suffering. You know it. All the investment groups are collapsing. They are just chopping our money, and they are not being held accountable. Another day, that DKM guy, he's still there working freely. Number one, a lot of issues. And so Calvin always, he's saying, why are you guys on me? Men's Gold, it has happened. So he's giving excuses. After all, such things has been happening, so it's not news.
That's a fine risk taker there, speaking to my colleague Fred Smith. Now, in a related development, President of the Ghana Association of Bankers, Al-Hassan Andani, says owners of financial companies must hold the trust that people accord them in high regard. He was speaking on the Super Morning Show on the agitation by some investors at El Abode, owned by Pastor Kelvin Kobiri, who've been demanding their locked-up investments for months.
We should hold people's respect for us dear and sacrosanct. So a pastor is held in high repute. I mean, you should regard that kind of respect people have for you as sacrosanct, and therefore not do anything that would let them down. Because people would have gone in there not because it was a great financial, or they didn't even analyze the financial structure. They believe they're pastor. Otherwise, there's a kind of situations we have. People trust you, you're their pastor, and you let them down. People trust you, you're the managing director, and you let them down. People trust you, you're the chairman of the board, and you let them down. And banking, finance, is all about trust.
You heard the president of the Ghana Association of Bankers, Al-Hassan Andani. He's also the chief executive of Stanbic Bank, and he says his office, together with other financial institutions, are educating the populace on financial literacy.
Some of the stories that you hear of Men's Gold and the Loom and all of that coming up, it just doesn't look right from finance, from personal ethical behavior, nothing. If you have somebody promising to pay you 10% per month on any kind of financial transaction, please, you don't have to go to business school to know that that is not possible. You should question your own conscience to be able to do that. And I apologize, but we should do a massive public education.
Chief Executive of Stanbic Bank Ghana, that's Al-Hassan Andani. This is the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM. Still to come. Well, with the 1/8 stage of the National Science and Maths Quiz, the first competition just ended, and Pope John's Senior High School has won that competition ahead of their arch rivals, Koforidua Secondary Technical. But we'll get to speak to one of the consultants of the National Science and Maths Quiz, those behind those tough questions. That's coming up after the break.
Given that f of x equals 5 minus 2x and g of x equals x plus 3. Find g of f of x.
My name is Kwame Sefakai, and most of you know me as a media personality, but I am also a family man. The UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, saves me so much time by letting me do almost all of my banking transactions on my phone. The cardless withdrawal feature allows me to withdraw cash from any UMB ATM without an ATM card. I can also pay bills, transfer money, request for a loan, invest money, and so much more. So now, I can spend less time at the bank and more time with the ones I love. Bank anywhere and anytime with a UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, and get the time to do what you love most. Download the UMB Speed App from your Android, iOS, or Windows phone today. Call 0302-633-988 for more information. UMB Speed App, Digibank, let's go!
Thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News. Let's do sports. The AFCON fever is on. We're getting ready for Black Stars tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of competition now. We're talking about beefs. We're talking about National Science and Maths Quiz, the Women's World Cup, the Copa America, and also the Africa Cup of Nations. But I'm a bit disappointed because Notre Dame girls were just cruising to the finish line, and then Port Jones sneaked in from the back door, and they are through to the next stage of the competition. You know, the hashtag by myself is what break the jinx. We hope a girls' school can do that this year, and let's wait. At Bishop Porter girls, they are also in competition today, right? So we'll be telling you more about that. But others taking center stage is the Africa Cup of Nations,
of course.
And today is day 4, right? It started on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This is the 4th day of competition, and we have enthralling fixtures to look forward to. First at 2:30 will be 2015 winners Ivory Coast. They take on South Africa, and there's Tunisia and Angola later at 5 p.m. And 3 hours later, Mali entertain Mauritania. Away from that, though, the Black Stars will finalize preparations today for tomorrow's Group F opening against Benin in Ismaili. Deputy Captain Kojo Asamoah, who plays for Inter Milan, says they are ready.
Everything is moving well. We are so happy about our hotel, the environment. We strongly believe this is the time. We've been expecting this moment for a very long time, and we believe because it's not going to be easy anyway, as always. But since we have that belief, we're going to start this tournament with a great attitude to bring a positive results.
You heard Kojo Asamoah there. More to come your way at 2. The team will be here for commentary, and it will be now from that time till 8 p.m.
1/8 stage of the National Science and Maths Quiz. First competition down has been disappointment and excitement at the R.S. Amegashi Auditorium at the University of Ghana Business School. And it was 2 Eastern Region-based schools, Pope Jones, SHS, and Koforidua Secondary Technical School and Notre Dame girls are battling. They battled for a spot at the quarterfinals. And in the end, Pope Jones Senior High School made it through. But I'm sure you've been wondering about these tough questions that we hear all the time. Let's hear this.
F of x equals 5 minus 2x, and g of x equals x plus 3. Find g of f of x.
8 minus 2x.
That is correct. Find the next 3 terms of the sequence defined by the recurrence relation. UN plus 1 equals UN plus 2n, where U1 equals 2.
We have 2, 6, and 12.
That is incorrect.
Tough questions, huh? Well, they are not too tough for the contestants of the competition. Most of us thought that the questions that are asked in the competition are all from the quiz mistress, Dr. Elsie Kaufman. But she gets a lot of help from some brainy consultants, including Professor Asmani. We're hoping to speak to him shortly here on the Midday News. But while we wait and the little time that we have, let's check out what's trending on social media. There's some beef that people are eating on social media.
Well, this weekend, social media was dominated by Rev beef. It started with Kwesi's Arthur's
thoughts from King Arthur 4. Now, in the song, many social media folks thought he took a hit at VJMA Rapper of the Year Medical when he said, "Laugh at their demeanor cause I know they hate to see me. Rapper of the Year, don't be silly, I sing when I want, hits come easy." Now, Medical didn't take this lying down when he released To Whom It May Concern. He threw some lyrical punches to Kwesi Arthur, Papi Kojo and Strongman. Now, To Whom It May Concern trended at #1 for a while until Strongman came with Don't Try. Strongman tasked Medical to subtract his alleged fraud money from his real money. The change, he said, won't buy him a bicycle. Now, that caused a stir on social media. Listen to Strongman on the Cosmopolitan show on why he said that. All right, we'll try get you that sound. But Medical reacted with Last Burial, claiming it was going to be the funeral of Strongman. But then Strongman replied with Immortal.
Well,
but in all this beef, in all this beef, Kwesi Arthur remains, remains untouched, and Twitter folks are still talking about it.
Okay, but let's go quickly to my colleague Maxwell Agbagba at the auditorium, where that first quizzes ended. Maxwell, so how did it all go down? Briefly.
Well, Pope John won with 36 points. Notre Dame won with placed second actually with 23 points, and Korea Tech had 18 points. But just arriving now at the University of Ghana Business School is Respect Legon. They are coming up in that 1 p.m. contest. They came with a bus, and already a section of the University of Ghana Business School is painted with a blue magic. The uniform of the guys from Protect Legon. It promises to be another exciting contest.
Of course, another exciting contest that we're all looking forward to. That competition that involves Presec. Will they win the competition for the set time? There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. It's a Monday. Cheer up. And my name is Emefa Apao. Have a good afternoon.